So it's possible to transform multiple columns, and that's what I'm going to show in this video. So let's just say we just have a few columns of the college data set over here. And let's just say we want to find the mean SAT scores, so both verbal and math, these two columns, by state. So here is the column for state abbreviation. So we're going to group by that. And then what we'll do is we'll say SAT verbal mid and SAT math mid. So just like we're selecting them, and then we're going to do dot transform and then just take the mean like this. So this will take the mean of both of them over here. Now we can actually add these two columns to our original data set. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll just say SAT math. You could say state average for that one, and make sure we get the right order. It's actually verbal first, and the second one will be math like this. Okay, it's a very long line of code. All right. So, all right, so there we go. And now when we look at this, we can see here is the average score. This is just for Alabama for the verbal scores. This is just for Alabama of the math scores. And it might be good to just round this. You just round it the nearest one like that. And just to show you that the other states are different, it's not just Alabama, it's not 508 for all of them. We could say state abbreviation. Let's look at, say, Texas, and we see that they are slightly different scores. So every state has their own average for verbal and for math. All right. One common thing to do is standardization. So this is probably the most common thing to do with, or just a common thing to do with the transform method. So what we can do is, let's just say we want to find out how close or how much more is a particular school's SAT score compared to the mean. So we could just do an absolute difference or just a difference. So this would be like minus about 80 points below the mean. But another way to do it is to standardize it, and this will give us a score, something called a z-score. And what we do is divide by the standard deviation. So we say, how many standard deviations is it above or below the mean? So this is a generic score that is just easier to compare across many different variables. And we'll do this with a custom function. And we'll just call it z-score. And it's going to take a series like this. And the way it works is you subtract the mean from every single value, and then you divide by the standard deviation of that group. So S minus S mean divided by the standard deviation, that will give you the z-score. And so what we'll do here is we'll take college again, and we can actually do it with UGDS as well. So we're going to group by state abbreviation. And we will transform these three columns like this, and I do dot transform, and I'm going to pass it in my custom function. So the way transform works, it works independently. So it's going to go through each of these columns one at a time. So it's going to pass that series into just the SAT verbal mid series into the z-score function for each group. So it's doing a lot of stuff here for us. Then it's going to do the same thing for the math, and then same thing for UGDS, and calculate this z-score. And we just round this off to get a little bit nicer numbers. All right. So this is the number of standard deviations below or above the mean. So that is what the z-score is, and it's another name for standardization. So it's called standardization because the scores will be roughly the same no matter what variable you are looking at. So it doesn't matter, like the scale of undergraduate student population is very large, going from 0 to like 100,000. SAT math is going from 0 to 800. But the z-score will typically be between -3 and 3 for many variables, although it can certainly range more than that. But so anyway, this is how you can calculate the z-score with the transform method. So again, just from the start, you'd have to say what the group by is. You select your columns over here, you do dot transform, and then it will be implicitly passed a series of that group, and then you need to return some series that is the same length of that group. All right, so a nice little example on standardization with the transform group by method.